Good evening, folks. Welcome to our loyal 11 live viewers on another episode of Lads It's Tottenham channel for the Grumpy Old Spurs show with me and, as usual, Dave. First time we've been back together since that win the other night in Bilbao. How are you feeling?
I mean, how long's it been since we've won a trophy?
A few days.
For about a few days now,
A few
isn't it?
days. Five, is it?
How nice? Yeah,
5
days.
6 days.
How nice is that? How
Lovely.
nice is that? How nice is that? It's lovely. It's absolutely lovely. Apologies for the dodgy camera angle tonight. I'll explain why later on, as a result of watching the game.
He's not ignoring you, folks. He's not doing the old Ange no eye contact thing.
Yeah, I'm not doing the Jerry Francis tonight, but I've just I'll explain in a bit. And good to see all our. Look at that. Hello, Phil.
Yeah, Phil's a loyal supporter.
He is. Kerry's got a shiny thing. She's very happy.
Yeah.
He's sorry he's late.
It's all right.
We had this last week, didn't we?
We're probably going to have latecomers. If old matey comes in and said he's been walking his dog again.
Keith Parker.
Keith comes in and says he's been walking his dog. People in the chat, can we have him, please? Because it's not on.
If Keith's late, is it a suspension from school?
Yeah.
I mean, he's had a warning, or do we give him a detention? Yeah, exactly.
Well, what is it? It's a verbal, written.
Yeah.
But let's get into it. I mean, obviously,
yes.
Dave, one night in Bilbao. What a football! What a spectacle! What a spectacle! The game, wasn't it? Free flowing football. If you're going to win a trophy, that's the way to do it, isn't it?
Well, you know what? I don't care that we had 27%.
Of course, I don't care, mate.
I don't care.
Absolutely shit. It was an absolute shit show of a game, wasn't it? But who cares? All that matters is that I was going to say we put the ball in the net. That's a bit iffy. Whether one of our players did.
Well, us two didn't actually put the ball in the net. No,
Spurs player.
No. But now he's a hero. You got to love Brendan now, don't you? The Brendan debate's over for you, Gibbo, isn't it? Because he goes down in history. He's another Alan Nielsen, Jonathan Woodgate, Ricky Villa.
Woodgate was a good player. Jonathan Woodgate was a good player.
Yes.
Ricky Villa had his ups and downs, but was a decent player, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, don't really want to. I mean, it's right though, isn't it? There. I mean, he started the game brightly, Johnson, but you only need him to have like 5 or 6 touches during a game. One of them goes in.
Well, that's what he normally does, doesn't he?
Yeah, but what a feeling. I mean, obviously, a lot of people in the chat will have watched loads of other content since this, so there's probably... Who did you watch it with, Dave, more importantly?
Well, so basically what happened was is that I'm quite a superstitious person. So I wore this green top for the semi-final and the quarters, right?
Yeah.
And so because of the nature of subscriptions over here, I was on Stan, right? So we watched Stan, but we only watched it on the monitors here. And so I watched it in my office chair, and I watched it with my older son, Jack, who's massively into Tottenham. And I'm sorry, Jack, but that's what I've done to him. I passed the baton on. So he watched the semis with me, and he watched it on. So he turned the couch round for the semis, and I had a 2 seats placed for him. And then he goes, no, I want to watch it on the couch. And then I started arguing with him, but, oh, no, that's right. We did it in the semis, so it's not breaking the ritual, superstition. So he had it there. And so in the second, so we watched the first goal went in. We're up, we're hugging each other. Here we go. This is it.
Yeah.
Second half, it's getting tense and this, that, and the other. I'm just nipped in to do something. He's got a cup of coffee and he's trying to put it on a little side table. Then so I'm streaming it through the laptop and it's on the monitors. And so what happened was I'm in the kitchen just momentarily. I hear the scream or shout from this room here, and he spilt coffee all over the laptop. Right?
How's he managed to do that?
I just want to stress that he's happy for me to talk about the story but to stress it, this is out of character, and he doesn't normally do this thing, which is right. So I'm now mopping up the laptop and the monitors, and so I've got to turn the thing off, and then I don't have the game on for 5 to 10 minutes. I put Talk Sport on. I'm listening to the final for 5 to 10 minutes on Talk Sport. Then I realise it's on the 9 Gem, which is I could cast it to the big TV. But it was breaking the routine, which means I'm watching on the big. So for 5 minutes, 5 of the biggest game, and probably the biggest game we've had since the Champions League final, I'm not watching anything. So the Mickey van der Ven brilliant
clearance.
I never saw that. Right. So what's happened is that the camera that goes on here is I'm getting it fixed. I had to take the laptop in. So he was very upset and apologetic about it. It's out of character. But so we get to the final whistle. We might as well talk about it. So I'm not ashamed to admit it. There was tears in this house.
I'm not surprised, mate. I'm not surprised.
I'll cry at the drop of a hat, right?
Yeah, you'll cry at the opening of a bag of crisps, won't you?
I will cry at the opening of a bag of crisps. So the final whistle, we're hugging each other, and and we'll get on. I want to get on to you in a minute, right?
Yeah.
Is that we obviously don't talk about family life or personal life on here, but what it means is, obviously the last time we won it, 2008, he was literally a baby asleep in a cot. And it was on in the middle of the night, and had to do a Marceau celebration when we beat the Chelsea because I couldn't wake him up, right? So we're hugging each other. There's tears. I rang up my brother in the UK. Kissed a picture of my old man. He took me to my first game. What else I do? I rang up 606, spoke to Robbie.
Of course you did. Of course you did. Of course you did.
And if you listen to it, I've found very emotional. I'm not crying now. I'm just getting a bit of sleep out of my eyes. But the whole thing's bust. So I had to get it all repaired. So this is why I'm Ange and Jerry Francis this week and not looking directly into the camera because it's broken. But that's where I was. And anyone's got other memories I want to share of full time of watching the game, things like that. So I'll come back to you in a minute, Gibbo. I think the thing is this, right? Is that for us, who hasn't seen us win something for a long time, the happiness and the emotion was great. For those of us who have brought their kids into this thing known as supporting this bloody football club, for them to see a trophy and winning something is part of that. I'm really happy for that generation in our family because, my God, we've cursed them by giving them this thing to support. And so to share that moment with them, for me, is emotional, and I'm very happy for them. So, where were you? Did you watch it with your United friends or something?
No, I had my brother-in-law came up. He's a United fan. To be fair, mate, he was happy for us. He's very close to my son. There's not a massive age gap between them. And he was, but I mean, I'm a bit like Phil. I was really zen all the way through it. I think even in this competition when we spoke on it, I was before. First of all, when we got there, I was like, we've played United, we've beaten 3 times, we won't do it again. And as it got near, I was ultra confident. The only time I did get a bit nervous was the Van der Ven clearance off the line,
which I never saw.
Which you didn't see. I mean, like Phil says, I didn't come close to crying when we scored. I went fucking mental with Zach. When the final whistle went, we were like jumping up and shouting and, cuddling and doing all that. But I never come close to crying. I was absolutely shattered. Like my son was jumping about. I mean, he's loud anyway, but he was jumping about and he was shouting and singing. Yeah. And my wife looked at me and I said, I'm more tired than anything, just from being sat there watching it. Yeah. Sort of in that tense. So I was confident I was always confident we'd win, but I just think I was so happy they won it for him because of, I think, how disappointed he would have been. Now, Zach was born in 2008, so his first memory and how he supported Spurs was that night we beat Chelsea at White Hart Lane.
New Year's Day, was it?
That one, and he can remember me going mad on the floor. So that's when he first started supporting. His memories of growing up watching Spurs is heroes like Dele Alli, the Kane, Son, all that. So he came into it, and that was the Spurs. That was the Spurs for him. That was the Spurs he grew up with promise and hope, and probably, and arguably, mate, I'd say the best period of football. I know it didn't yield a trophy, but the best period of football I can remember watching Spurs, arguably in my lifetime, I can really remember, and I was invested in.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I just watched it, and people might not believe this, but I was just thinking, Man United are crap. I don't think we'll score again because we just sitting back, and then I don't even think we tried to pass it out from the back. I just felt like we were just kicking the ball. I think I think there was just a feeling, and I think there might have been other Spurs fans, just a feeling that we were going to do it, even leading up to the game, the 24 hours prior. And just by the way it seemed out in Bilbao, from what I saw, and when you've heard people talking, people I know who went, I think that feeling built up. But it was just, it was great to get over the line. Now, I'm always hypercritical. I'm always looking for the next thing. I'm always sort of like, that was great, but we need to, like when Ange Postecoglou spoke about his dad before, and he used to be like, yeah, that was a great win, son, but if you missed before, I'm a little bit like that. But I was just so pleased we got over the line. Same as you, so pleased for my son. So to have been with him. I was physically knackered. And then I thought, like, my first thought, and you can laugh about it now, was just like after that game, I thought, my God, that was fucking awful. But we've done it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was my thought. And then for the day, I didn't go to the parade because Zach's been doing his GCSEs. We live 2.5, 3 hours, probably more than that away. The traffic stuff on that day. So we went to the game Sunday, which we'll come on to. But watching all that type of stuff in a really calm way, I was just really happy watching that. And it was nice to be calm and a little bit smug and a little bit sort of just like, this is brilliant to watch. And my son, like, literally every chance he gets, you're just a random, you'll be doing stuff in the house and you'll just get a random Johnson again, ole. I've never had Barry Manilow played in my car so much as I have over the past week when I've been taken in places. Stuff like, and just random songs. And it's just a good, it's just, a feeling we haven't experienced for that long. And, it's not even to win in that way. It's just to win and get over that line, and just that build up of sort of like, this is the chance. We can't blow this. Yeah. No. And mate, no matter what I think about, and as we'll come on to, players or managers, and what people talk about when you go on to sort of like talk about different avenues. I loved that. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I will always remember that. I will always remember who I was with and how we celebrated it. And I will always be, I will always remember that fondly and can say, I can remember watching that.
Yeah, exactly. And nice message from Pat here. Yeah. He was at the stadium with his son. He was at 84 final. And the last 5 minutes ago, I'll never forget, I was blobbing into my hands as my son had hand on my back, final whistle, then a scream and a cry. And brilliant. You just know, though, that for other members of our families and things like that who are not that into football, thinking, what is wrong with them?
Mate, like, I'm not an emotional bloke. I'm not like, the emotions I mainly use are like, as people see me on here, and my frustration and stuff like that. I'm not like, like you start blubbing because
I start blubbing at the end of Jerry Maguire. Oh, he's thrown a baseball.
You know what I mean? And like all the people getting emotion in the ground and people putting the messages. Oh, I think I'm getting a bit emotional. And I'm just a bit like, fucking pack it up, will ya? But do you know what I mean? But we're all different, and there's nothing wrong with any of it. We just look at it. We just, we just act differently. But But, brilliant. The scenes at the I mean, you'll come on to that.
We'll do that. We'll do that. We'll do that in 1 minute. But the other thing is that so I live in a block of apartments. There's obviously an apartment, a unit, a flat. They call it a unit here, flat over there. So we've got a WhatsApp group. So at about 6:10 a.m. on Thursday morning, someone posted, "Can someone stop screaming?" And that was me. I was screaming at that. We hadn't even won it yet. I was just screaming at the TV to get the ball out and this, that, and the other, because we only had 27% possession and all the rest of it. There is obviously a picture of Ange. This is what I've. This is what I've been. He is obviously now a manager in our history, alongside the General, alongside Bill Nick, who has indeed won a European trophy for this club. So he goes down in history alongside them, and we'll get onto it in a bit anyway. But it was lovely to see the General at the game at Brighton, which I know we'll talk about in a minute. But that was lovely to see. There's not enough done for him. There should definitely be a statue or a stand named after him, but we know that that's not how our club is run.
Just on that quickly, Dave, I went to the Co-op Arena a couple of weeks ago to watch Bruce Springsteen, and it's literally right next to the Etihad.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't been there for a few years. I've been there quite a few times, but I haven't been there. And they've got these statues outside. They've got Company, Silver, and I think it's Aguero. They don't look like they're the type of... I mean, they probably did, but, they didn't look like they were something that were of massive cost. They were quite modern. They were quite trendy. They didn't take up loads of room. And there's places they could be put up, and they were quite cool, if you get what I mean. I looked at them, I thought, that is the type of thing Spurs could do. There is absolutely no excuse. It looked really good.
But they don't do that, and we know why. But we're not going to do that today. We're not doing that today. And look, I'm sorry, Giro, but I couldn't help myself. I also rang up TalkSport on Friday night.
Of course you did. I expect nothing different, Dave.
Well, you see, the thing is, Alex Crook is such a smug individual.
Yeah, he is.
I don't know. I don't know how anyone is allowed to be a football correspondent of a station who.
But that's what they want, Dave.
No, but
that's what they want, to wind you up to the point where you phone in and they get money for you phoning in.
Well, the fact of the matter is,
you can rant and you can rave and you can say you're this and you're that and what about this and what about that, and they're just going while they're watching the pound signs roll in.
Yeah, but it's to my satisfaction that I spoke to that smug git, and I said, and I had a chat with him, and I felt good about it. But now I think I'm done now. I'm done with my TalkSport and 606 for the year. It's been a busy year. There we go.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
completely right, Pat.
Hopefully, Pat's talking about Alex Crook, not me.
Oh, I think he has. If you look above, mate, he's said.
I know. I'm just doing a little bit of a joke there. There we go. But he is a tosser. So let's move on to something else. Now, are you sitting down here for a second? Because I got a shock about what I'm about to say to you, Gibbo. You sat down.
Go on. Yeah.
I think the club and therefore the ownership did an absolutely great job with this. An absolutely great job. Yeah,
they did.
As I said, I'll say it again. I thought the club, which includes the ownership, did a great job here. I think they said there was 225,000 people at the on the streets of Tottenham. My brother went along with his niece, which again is another of those bonding moments. So I'm really pleased for my niece who has got really into Tottenham, believe it or not, this year. But she's really, really into it, and that's really cool. And as I said, it's all about these moments that you have with the next generation, your family. These are the moments, these are the bonding moments, and the moments that the kids won't ever forget. Even the way that their father reacts to stuff like this. So I thought that this was really well done, really well executed. Quite clearly, most of the players were resembling the Ashes squad going to Downing Street after in 2005. What were your? So you didn't get to go to this.
No, I sort of pretty much thought that it would be absolutely rammed in, and getting there for me, and at the time I'd have to leave, would be would make it extremely difficult. Now, you probably could have gone and stood miles out the way and still soaked up the atmosphere. But I've got to admit, mate, like you said, it was really well done. Watching it on the live YouTube. So me and Zach were always going to Brighton on the Sunday. So we sort of made our peace. That'll be the time we can go and we can celebrate.
Yeah.
At the, with Spurs fans in the Spurs area type thing. But I thought they did it really well. Like the YouTube, channel it was on. It was just done really well. You sort of had access to the players through interviews. You could see all the people enjoying it, and it was good to watch other people enjoying it. If you get what I mean, Dave.
Yeah.
So like the whole thing was just really well done. Like you said, out of all the things that I did sort of think of you, I don't know if I even messaged you say, when stuff is shit at the club, Levy, people are quick to jump on Levy's back. And, but, none of the credit came to him when we won it. I don't think he got any credit when we won it. It's all the players and the manager. He was forgotten. Yet if we'd have lost, people would be on, fucking Levy never gave us the players.
Hang on a minute.
They would have, mate.
Are you going back to Enokin again?
No, absolutely not. I'm just I'm trying to be balanced and fair, Dave.
You're trying to we're having an opposing view conversation. We can't do that on YouTube. It's got to be full of vitriol and hate, and all say the same thing at once. Am I going to credit Daniel Levy with winning the Europa League? Have a guess.
No, of course you're not.
No, I'm not. I'm not at all. I mean, he left us with a squad. I mean, as I said, we've talked about this to death. That the squad that he left at the end of the August transfer window was not fit for purpose for a Europa campaign. And we are going to do the big Ange in or out in a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. But the fact of the matter is we had more games this season and we had a weaker squad. And that is really unforgivable in my eyes. But,
absolutely. Yeah, so I just think sometimes that, if we're giving all the credit around, he's part of what built that. I know what we've just said that the squad wasn't good enough, but he's been part of building that squad, employing the Messiah, and and all that jazz. So, if you give all the shit out, you got to give credit as well when it's due. But if you don't think he's due it, if you don't think he is due anything, then that's fair enough.
Well, I think it was very interesting. You stayed behind, did you, at the end of the Brighton game? So I don't know if you saw it, but when he came up, when his face came up on the screen, he got a boo. Were you there for that? Yeah,
and that unfortunately that is, and we'll come on to this when we go into the thing anyway. We were sort of talking about it before, and you said let's save it up. I think that's just where it's at. I just think with Levy, that's where it's at, isn't it, Dave?
Well, it is. I mean,
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So, but we're saying about being all this nicey, happy, cuddly. We shouldn't. We've won a cup final. Why have you still got to have that Ange debate and stuff like that? Yet the owner comes up and we're fucking booing him.
I mean, the look on his face, right? Whoever was in charge of the camera. He's definitely not going to be there to start.
Yeah, he won't be there to start next season.
There's no camera person in or out debate tonight on Grumpy Old Spurs. He's gone. He or she is gone.
Yeah, you can take that to the bank. The cameraman is done.
The cameraman is finito.
Yeah.
And the look on his face, it was very, very. Hang on, Phil sums it up very nicely. It was very pantomime villain.
Yeah.
And all we had to do was shout behind you, as the fragrant Donna Cullen was probably there.
I just think, Dave, in the thing of to be fair, and when we're trying to make this a thing about, and when we talk about managers and certain players, and let's not get on their backs or do whatever, we've won this, it should be a happy time. Then I think that should be afforded. They don't have to. You don't have to go mental, but like to boo him, I just think it's a little bit sort of like classless.
I mean, to be honest with you, I would have booed him if I was in the stadium.
Yeah.
And if I'm classless, so be it.
Yeah. But fair enough, because people will probably think on some of my views coming up that I'm out of order. unfortunately, that's where this fan base is, and the way modern football is with social media and what we talk about and that now, isn't it? This
Well,
always
that's
going to
right.
happen.
That's right. Now, in terms of us being classless and we don't deserve him, how was Sonny's cuddling and crying over this week just gone? Top notch, I thought.
Top notch cuddling and crying. And do you know what though, mate? Thoroughly deserved. Thoroughly deserved. I wanted to see him lift that trophy. I'd have loved him to get a goal. I don't think he'd have probably scored if he'd have played all night, to be fair,
No.
mate, or got near a goal.
No, I mean, yeah.
To see him lift the trophy is something I think. No matter if you've been slightly critical of his performances over the coming past, I
mean, really, seriously. By the way, Keith, Phil, hang on a sec. Keith, Phil has dobbed you in, as they say in Australia. He says you don't own any dogs whatsoever. It's just a bad excuse. Now, we've discussed the disciplinaries here. What have we said? Has he got a detention?
It's verbal. He had his verbal warning last week.
He's had his
you
verbal
could send us your email address.
We'll send you. Is he detention? Oh, he's got a written warning. So you've got a written warning, Keith. Okay, and we're going to have to put you on a performance review.
Yeah. So,
okay.
We were talking about Son. But
Keith. Sorry, Keith. You're late. We were talking about Son. We'll go back to it. Okay.
To see him lift that trophy was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah. No. Delighted for him. Really, really happy. I think it's absolutely fantastic to see, and it was lovely to see Fraser Forster's haircut during the parade. I mean, where did he get all that hair from? It was lovely, beautiful.
Turkey,
and Sir Greggy on our David May, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he got a medal, and I think Timo Werner got a medal. They all got.
Yeah.
Will Lancashire
at the end. Did they, like, all these young kids and all these people involved get medals? And the last 3 or 4 people turned up, like Cootie and I don't know. I've just called him Cootie. I hate when people call, like Benton called Lolo. And
so do I.
Romero, yeah. Sorry about that, folks. Now, I don't think they had medals for them.
They didn't.
I'm not sure they did. I think they had to obviously go out the back and get some more because we had such a big squad. But yeah, very fitting.
Did Clinton NG get a medal as well?
No, him and Kevin Nkudu missed out on.
I can't believe it. I mean, they played for us in the Europa about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So Sir Greggion, who wasn't even named in any of the squads, he wasn't named in this squad, was he? As in, he wasn't. You know, we could do another 25 list in January or whatever. I'm pretty sure he wasn't in it.
Wasn't in it. Well, he wouldn't have got a medal then, would he?
Well,
there you go. That just came in. Kinski got a medal, and he'd never been registered. Yeah,
I thought he was.
So that's what I'm saying. So no.
Jesus, really?
So that's what happened. Maybe players who weren't in the squad stepped up and got a medal, and that's why the rest missed out.
Well, Kinski got a medal for looking like Ebson Bardson, so that's why.
Yeah, I don't think Werner was in the Europa squad either, was he?
No, but I thought he got a medal.
Yeah, well,
everyone got a bloody medal. But hang on, we got. What's this?
There you go. Look, 50 medals. Didn't have enough for the ceremony.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, but fitting. Not an end to obviously his career, but if that is, the last sort of decent thing we get from Son, then happy days.
Well, we're not. Next week, we're going to be doing the Grumpies, the first ever Grumpies Awards, where we're going to hand out awards for the season review. And then I think the week after we'll do a keep or sell. Yeah,
good and bad awards, Dave. Is it going to be? Because obviously you're setting the categories.
What made you think we'd have some bad awards? We are grumpy old Spurs, Gibbo. We've got to keep the brand. All right. So right. So should we go on to Brighton for just a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we haven't got a long show, have we? But it was great all round. Everything. The parade.
Any other thoughts?
Well,
yeah.
Europa. Everything was extremely well done. It all worked out brilliantly.
And when you went to work the next day, how smug were you at work? How smug were you at work?
Oh, like I said, Dave, I wasn't really. I was confident all the way along. and I was pleased. The next day, I felt just sort of like, yeah, we've done it. It was really weird. I said to my missus, like, I just feel like really zen. The whole thing was just like, just.
Well, you called
Smug.
it,
Yeah.
but
Well,
also hang on a sec. I called it as well because I said to you the last time we won something, Oasis were together,
yeah,
and now they're back together.
and
That
we've won some.
I manifested the Gallagher brothers,
Yeah,
and I also said Oasis would get back together this year as well.
yeah, and mate, obviously, like, we'll get onto it in other parts, but when I looked at, you could sort of map out the route. I mean, I thought the route would be tougher. I thought we may meet Lazio and thought Frankfurt would be tough, but I fancied us to beat them. After I watched them, I thought we'll beat them. You know, so I looked at it and I thought we got a great chance in it. No matter how shit we've been in the league, you know, we are a better team than we're showing, and we are more than capable of winning that trophy. And we should win it. And we were favourites all along, weren't we, to win the trophy? I think until the final, we knew it was Man United. And I think with the bookies, we weren't. They were favourites, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just felt, I did feel smug, but not to a point where I was going around, you know, just giving other fans a load of shit. I was just really happy.
Gibbo, you're a much better person than Kerry, and
Yeah.
I've got to be honest with you. You're a much better person than me. So my boss, who's a great guy, is a Chelsea fan, but he's still a great guy. He said to me, "You're wearing your shirt to the office." So I put on the old retro tracksuit top. So you got, obviously you're celebrating, and then you're going to bed like everyone else in Europe. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm going straight from the euphoric emotion of lifting it.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to work, right? So
Yeah.
I've got my retro Tottenham tracksuit top on. I put my scarf on. I go into work, and then I do the lap of honour around the office with the scarf.
Yeah,
and then there's a gooner in the office, so I made sure that I did a lap of honour near him as well.
Yeah,
and it was just beautiful. And then did a day's work, and then I went to the boozer Thursday night.
And I'm always more guarded as well, Dave, because like it's great we've won it.
Yes.
But dishing out banter to people, I'm more guarded now than I've ever been, thinking what's coming back. Because my thought is, now I can give like my family who are Villa fans and other people a load of grief here, but there could be nothing worse than qualifying for the Champions League and then getting absolutely smacked all over the place in it and being fucking below these teams in the table and still being mid-table. And then they're like, what's the point? You've given it all this. What's the point? You're winning it. You're fucking useless. You're going in the Champions League, mate. You're getting bent over and your pants pulled down left, right, and centre by teams. And there's a good, and I firmly believe that's not beyond the realms of possibility.
Gibbo, I agree with everything.
And that's in true grumpy old Spurs style.
That is true. That is truly grumpy. But the fact of the matter is that we have had a truckload of shit our way.
Yeah.
Rightly so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my view is, when I get these moments to really have large it, I'm gonna large it because I know it's coming back. We know it's coming back. We know what's gone on before. We know what's going on in the future. So I am going to enjoy these moments. When we won the Rugby World Cup in 2003, I went to the office very early Monday morning, decorated the whole office in England stuff, because I get, as you can imagine, the shy, self-effacing person I am, the quiet personality that I am. People seem to give it to me left, right, and centre when England lose, when Tottenham lose. So when we have these moments, I'm going to have it. I'm going to enjoy it because we know what's coming back again. So these are the moments you've just got to large it. And by God, I've larged it.
When I'm giving it large, I know that I'm giving it large, and there's a good chance people go, he's right. I can't give him anything back. Like I said, I do not want to be on the end of like playing Barcelona. Like when we played,
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But these are the times. Anyway, let's talking about giving it large and it coming back to us. Here's Brighton.
Yeah.
Over to you, Gibbo. You were there, but give us your
So
overall
this was
opinion.
going to be mine and Zach's sort of like celebration, and we
Yeah.
went there, and he desperately wanted to see. We went to the shelf side bar where the guy with the guitar was in that, and he was absolutely loving life, and he was jumping up and down. He was all over me, singing and giving it ole ole ole. Like, let's get further in, Dad. So we're right near the front and everything, just the side of it. He's jumping all over me, and it was brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant. Leading up on the car, he's putting songs on, and we're talking about what's going to happen, Dad. Do you think we could win today? The team comes out, and I look at the team, and I'm like, oh, that's a much better team than I thought we'd put out. We've got a chance today. And then we sort of play the game in the first half, a bit like, well, this is an end of season game, and they ain't really putting a great team out or putting up much of a fight. We're 1-0 up through a penalty. Didn't really look like we were going to score. And then the second half, mate, it's just like me and the blokes around me. I had Stu Gallup. I had his season ticket. Thank you, Stu. And some of the older boys who had season tickets around him, they're just sitting there then going, this is Ange ball, mate, back to normal. And the second half, we were just literally... and we're not going to go into it too much because I know what people say. It meant nothing, blah, blah, blah. Every game means something to me. I hate losing football matches. Something that we've become too accustomed to and that we've pied off way too often. And it's still getting pied off way too often. But we were absolutely fondled without permission. That second half, it was literally like they just bossed us, and it was like just difficult to watch. And if we hadn't won that cup, I can imagine what it would have been like. But yeah, it was. They brought on Mitoma and that Gomez, and they just had their way with us. It was just, not really worth talking about, being glossed over, but it was pretty abject and poor.
I mean, to be fair, the players were, they were kind of... They were.
They'd have been knackered, hungover. I get all that, So that's why,
Did you ever play Sunday?
Yeah, loads.
And loads. Did you ever play hungover?
Pretty much most of the years I played. But what I'm trying to say is, Dave, is that that's fair. That's fucking obvious. Like when Brennan Johnson was on our side, he looked like a bloke that did not want the ball or did not want to run. And that's not me having a dig at him. That's just I can imagine him going.
That was his birthday. That was his birthday. The parade was his birthday.
I did not think he would start. I thought but anyway, it was pretty poor. Towel played, and that's a bloke that is not worth 50 million. I know he's played in abject sides, and I feel for him a bit, but
I feel sorry for him.
That's not. I don't look at that and thinking that's a sign we need to get over the line. Even for less money, I'm not convinced there. But yeah, Dave, but when you've seen lots and lots of performance about that, pissed up or not, we've seen far too many of those performances. It's a red flag that I watched it, and like the first half, even though we didn't look like scoring, we didn't really create anything. There was quite a bit of just so like I don't know how to describe it. There is just a lot of kicking the football. Even against Man United, there was a lot of just kicking the ball. So, and I look at that and thinking, what we doing here? What we trying to do? What? This is Tottenham we've been watching lately. What's going to happen further down the line, which we'll come on to. But yeah, so that was crap. And then after, mate, they did the parade, guard of honour by the old players.
You booed Levy.
No, Levy was booed or whatever. But that was
Levy was booed by the old players.
So as I expected before, mate, the day was brilliant. The only down part of it was the football.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, I feel a bit sorry for Tell. Tell's the equivalent of someone who's been asked to do a presentation to the whole company the morning after the Christmas party, right?
Yeah.
Everyone else is pissed and hungover, and he's the one who's had to kind of keep it. I mean, every time that Tell came in January, the manager, and we're going to get on to him in a minute, has pretty much said he gave up on the league in February. And the poor sod is had to play
in the league.
He's had to play in the league, and he's also he's played where he knows that a lot of his teammates have given the minimum effort in the league, and he's played. And I think that I think he's worth another loan next season. And of course, it's all part of the spreadsheet between Bayern Munich and Tottenham, because obviously they still owe us money, and that's one of the reasons why we got Tell in, frankly. But he's not worth 50 million at the moment. But I'd get him a loan again. Yeah, I think. I mean,
that's the best I'd do. A loan.
He's right. And that's the way it should be, right? So I feel a bit sorry for him. And I'd like to see him again next season. But we will keep.
I think just on that note, Dave, I get what you're saying, but he scored a few goals, and at times I've sort of been like, I've tried this, so I don't really want to. I'm not putting him down. I like his attitude and everything, but the more and more I see him, the more and more I think to myself, I ain't seen nowhere near enough. I don't even think he's been that much more effective than Mikey Moore, who I don't think's been that great when he's played. And he's obviously going to be the second coming. So
Mikey Moore's about 10. You got to give him a chance.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. But I'm not 100% convinced. I'd rather those minutes go to Tal over Moore, if you get what I mean.
And then obviously
that's all I'm saying. And we've got Odeberry. I mean, if you look at it when we come on to it, our forward line, our wingers, let's be blunt, they're fucking rubbish. All of them.
They are.
They're not good enough for where we're going to be going. They're just no matter how you dress it. We'll come to that.
We'll come to that in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah. We will be doing a keep or sell. I can only apologise to our loyal viewers around the world. We are probably about a week behind in everything that we need to do. So no doubt everyone this week's done the end of season review, or they did the Europa reaction last week. But we've always been a bit behind as people. So next week will be the end of season review, the Grumpies. And then after that, the following week, we'll do keep or sell, which no doubt will be behind everybody else. But you don't get curmudgeonly grumpiness from anywhere else, do you? So
exactly.
So let's get on to the big topic, as they say in France, du jour. So it's the Ange in or out discussion. We've got to do it. We've got to address it. I know everyone else has about a week ago, but that's okay. So the first thing I want to do is just finishing off Ange and his comments after the game. He said, asked about his future after the match, Postecoglou said, I'll be honest, I've been finding it really weird talking about my future when we have done something unprecedented. He's also said, I can't ask a question.
Before then.
Yeah, I can't ask a question about me and my future. Like I said, part of me is thinking, why am I even being asked that question? But it is what it is. I've no doubt this could be a real defining moment for this club, because wherever I have been, I have made an impact, where I have brought success to a club that haven't had it for a while. I'm pretty sure that Celtic has had a success before he turned up, to be honest with you. And I can't speak for the club in Japan, but I'd have assumed they would have done as well. So that's what you had to say there. And then we do love the Twitterati, don't we? We do love it. And so this is Daniel in his end of season address before he got booed. I'd like to thank Ange and the players for making this incredible achievement possible. And thanks to all our amazing staff. There's so much work that goes on behind the scenes, i.e. me and the board. Yeah. And this moment is for everyone to enjoy. He did exactly the same thing when we got to the Champions League final, because everyone rightly was salivating over Poch and what an achievement. And in his end of season notes, he goes, what about me? What about everyone behind the scenes? And here we go. Here's some people off Twitter. We won't have their names on there. It's only fair. Yeah. Our most successful manager, Gibbo, in 40 years. And you're all wanting him sacked. because you've been mind fucked by the anti-Spurs media and a load of modern football top fours out everything nonsense. You lot would have sacked Birkinshaw and Bill Nick, or Bill Nick, as he's written, if social media told you to. And here's the one. Ready?
Yeah.
If Daniel Levy, who we booed, wants to turn the portion of the supporters who have defended him in recent months, that's a portion in recent months, and unify the entire fan base against himself, he should sack Ange. So if Levy wants to finally be ousted and the great majority turn on him, metaphorical pitchforks at the gates, all he has to do is sack Ange.
Yeah.
So there we go.
So where do you sit on this, Dave? Because like what I found extremely frustrating is a week ago, maybe just slightly longer.
Go on.
The masses were saying, look, win or lose this cup final, he needs to go.
Yeah.
Because the league form hasn't been good enough. We can't be doing this. We win the trophy, and a lot of those, and a massive percentage of that, and a lot of them are quite prevalent on social media. Flip flop. Ange's got to stay now, hasn't he? Yeah, you can't turn against him. We've got to keep him on now. We've got to do this. After we won a cup final, the result was fantastic, but it wasn't a tactical masterclass to win it. Like, the banking in is pretty much something easy to sort of like, in terms of, obviously in general terms, that to get that sorted, to sit back 2 banks of 4 or whatever and not try and get out.
But to be fair, but hang on a second. To be fair, as I said to our good chum Alex Crook on TalkSport, the banks of 4, but we had no creative midfield players.
No, absolutely. So partly done, but that's what we did. We sat in. We didn't really. It was get a goal and let's hold on to it. So I would personally, we call Daniel Levy into question for not making good decisions, not making good footballing decisions for the club.
Yes.
But now we want him to make a decision based on emotion, not football. Because footballing wise, if everybody's brutally honest, like we're all saying, he deserves a chance now because he's won the cup. We need to give him 10. If you're giving him 10 games or saying give him to the international break, you went back in him. Really, you're giving him a stay of execution. If that's what you're doing, that's not backing him or believing in him. So, and like all these people who are flip flopped, you can't do it now. What will happen is 10 games in or whatever. Yeah, those very people, if it's bad, will flip flop because the league form, and I know all the mitigation. So they're like the last. Let's even say before that. Let's say it is the league form over 18 months. It's been pretty poor. We've gradually gone away from Ange ball to this, whatever we're at now. Just get through a game to win a game. Just
now
do what we need to win a game. There's no patterns of play or anything anymore. And if that continues and people suss us out in the next season doesn't start well, then it will all be, well, Levy should have sacked him before. Now flip-flop back the other way. You're not going to get a good manager, a manager you could possibly get in now. You're not going to get them in October, November time. So, and there's no guarantee that if the players that come in, he can coach them. I don't think he is a great coach, but I've not. That's where I've been. So I think if you are judging basically on football, and if you can get, and all these fans that are bang up for him to stay, sack him tomorrow and put Glasner or Inzaghi or someone else that the fans like in his place next day, and you'll be forgotten just like that. Because football's fickle, because they've all turned. They proved that. A majority of fan base have proved that over the past week, changing to Ange. So, what I'm saying is that if I'm basing it purely on football, then I say you've given us a brilliant moment. And Ange as well. If I'm Ange, I'm thinking, I don't know if it can get any better than that. That's brilliant. I am where I am. I can sort of leave with my head held high. I think the board sort of want me to go. I've got the fans on my side. I can probably go off and win some more trophies now. Say I've delivered what I've done, rather than if I go into this season. And then people will say, like, he's got the players with him. Well, of course the players are going to be with him. He's backed them after poor performance, after poor performance, after poor performance. He's never once blamed them, which is like Ange's biggest strength, is how he's got the fans. And he's a brilliant talker. He can talk his way round and manipulate the things he wants to say to make it sound in his favour. But he can, Dave. And but purely footballing terms, if we can get somebody better, because let's put it this way, Dave, before we come on to you. Brendan Johnson scored in that final. We all have our opinions on Johnson, but if someone says to you, we're about to buy a right winger who's better than Johnson, would you say, yeah, but Brendan scored in the final?
He's in our history books.
He's a legend. He scored in the final. We can't. No, you wouldn't, would you? You'd be saying, if we can get someone better, you'd be saying, and then make us a better team, get them in. And it's the same with Ange. But as I've always said, Dave, this thing with Ange, it is like a cult. He has a cult following.
Cult, to be clear.
Cult following. People hang on his every word. And now we have to give him this chance. Levy has to give him this chance, or you will divide the fan base. The fan base will not give a fuck once we start winning, and if we do all right. So get a decent manager in, sign a few players, start off well, it'll all be forgotten about. Simple, mate. And for the football club, we need to part ways and go with someone, because after a cup final win like we've had, mate, we should not be going into the next, or I feel I shouldn't be going into the next season worrying that we aren't going to do very well in the league or in the cup, and that we've got to sack stuff off again to make a fist of anything. And we're not playing against Europa League teams anymore. We're playing against the best.
So just to be clear, you haven't changed your opinion?
Absolutely not.
I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. We've got some really good, lot of great comments, which we'll do just after I'll give my view, but we've got some great comments which we'll go through in a second. Okay. Look, psychologically, and with all metaphorical love for you and our good friend Leon, you two have been banging on about Ange for a very long time. And ladies and gentlemen, you should see the chats in WhatsApp. They are the Ange undertakers, right? So psychologically, and I mean this very nicely, I've kind of tuned out of it. And why I've tuned out of it is because I've always been convinced that he will not be there at the start of next season, even if we'd have won it, right? So I'm a nostalgist. I'm not a sentimentalist. And as I have said in the past week, he will go. And even people at work and over here, obviously he's got a massive profile here that he is the most successful Australian club manager of all time. And I'm not going, and as I said, there's been a lot of anti-Australian crap going on when we appointed him and the patronisation towards him in the media. So I think that there's a lot of stuff I like about him, a lot of stuff of traits of Australian sporting culture that he's brought to the club that I really like about him. I like the way he stands up for our club. I really do, because no one else ever does. But as a fact of the matter is, when it comes down to what you want from your football coach, you want to win games and you want to watch some decent football. And so Ange Ball has not really been Ange Ball for a very long time. I think to say that, he's been focusing on the Europa in February, I think that's a little dig at the board as well, by the fact that at the end of the day, we went into January with an injury crisis as long as your arm, and we didn't get Tiny Dancer or Tell until the third week of January. We got Kinski the first week of January, and that is an absolute disgrace from the board. But when it comes down to it, and whether I think Ange is good enough a manager to be in the Premier League and to get to what we want, I mean, the expectation for next season, in my opinion, is I'd like to win a domestic cup. I'd like to get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and I would like to get fifth or sixth, or I'd like to qualify for the Champions League. Now, that's a big ask from where we are now, right? So, the long and short of it is, I had some people seem to think that I'm Ange in because obviously I live in Australia and blah, blah, blah. And there's one bloke on Twitter said, I'm a typical overseas fan. I don't even know where the stadium is. Remember him from about 2 weeks ago? But at the end of the day, he should go. Now, the challenge now for Levy is that when you've got 225,000 people on the streets of Tottenham, all singing and chanting for Ange and this, that, and the other, and he gets rid of Levy, it does Marco Silva, Thomas Frank, Oliver Glasner, which I think I would like to see Thomas Frank, and I'd be happy to see Glasner as well. I'm not sure about Silva, and I don't want the Bournemouth guy either, right? But what I'm saying to you is, from a sensible footballing decision, I take Glasner and I take Frank. But for the 225,000 people who are singing his name and this, that, and the other, it's up the stakes now of, well, if you're going to get rid of Ange, you really need someone to come in and go, wow. I mean, like Klopp. I know it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Klopp and Inzaghi. Yeah. I don't want the guy who's only ever been at Barcelona and what was his name?
Yeah, Xavi.
I don't want him. Right. So that's that. The stakes have gone up a bit now. And the other thing as well is that if Paratici truly is coming in, and we've got the CEO coming in, I could see a typical Levy thing is that it'll sit on this decision until they start. They'll decide that they can't work with him, and he'll make it their decision to get rid of him, right? Which the more and more you go into the summer, and the more and more this hasn't been sorted out, which is a typical Levy thing to do, then we're storing ourselves trouble for next season. But as I sit here now, and you and Leon have been on the Ange out train for a long time, and I tuned out of it because I always thought he'd go regardless. People have been swayed, and I get that. We've talked about at the beginning of the show the emotions that we felt about winning that trophy, the enjoyment that we have had about all of it, and I understand that has swayed people's feelings about Ange. You can't get rid of him now, but at the end of the day, if you look at it with no sentimentality, I'm afraid to say that everyone should shake hands, do it in a dignified way. He will go off and go, I've won them a trophy. They're ungrateful mongrels. I had an injury crisis. He'll pick up another job. I've got no doubt about that. And we will get on with what we need to do as well. And that's how it is. Hey, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So
he's claimed, Dave, he's claimed we're changing the culture by not being winners, but not change the culture. Because losing absolute bollocks did we have to be as bad in the league as we've been to win the Europa. And anybody who's bought into that is either deluded or is lying that we had to do that. That is nonsense, man. And here's another thing, right?
Yeah.
All our rivals, if you were talking to fans of rival teams or our rivals, would they want us to keep Ange or get rid of him?
They'd want us to keep him.
They'd want us to keep him.
Yeah.
Why would they want us to keep him?
Because he's
not very good.
Yeah.
Right. But what he is really, he's unified the fan base.
Yeah.
He's a bit like a poor man's Gareth Southgate for me. He's unified the players and the fans and that. But he's not up to the job. He's not a poor man's Gareth because he's got us over the line in a tournament. That was wrong. I shouldn't have said that. But, mate, at the end of the day, they're facts. You've got other teams' fans singing, we want you to stay. And Postecoglou, we want you to stay.
Yeah.
That's not good. And he is a decent bloke and he does stick up for the club. But so I see somebody will put in there, it's not a cult, but it is. It is because when you try to talk how I'm trying to talk, they won't see that. They just keep coming back with, well, he had loads of injuries. Well, then if you're playing Ben Davis and Dragusin at centre half, don't play him as you did for quite a while on the halfway line because Dragusin's not great on the ball but he's good header of the ball. So let's play a system that suits the players you've got and stuff like that. But he didn't want to do that. So now it's a convenient excuse to say, yeah, we agreed we were going to bin off the league so we could win this cup. But that is rubbish. They needn't. There's no need for us to be as bad as we were in the league. He may have turned around and said, look, I'm going to concentrate on this and the league's going to have to take a bit of a back step. If I'm going to make changes and stuff, that's where it's going to be in the league. But that's no excuse to lose the amount of games he has. And even the results What's worse than the results were the performances in some of them and the complete lack of direction or focus or tactical nous or anything. That's even more scary going into a season where we'll only make so many signings, and we are playing against better teams in the Champions League and in the Premier League than we faced in the Europa League. That's fact, mate.
Yeah. I agree with all that. So let's do some of the comments, right? So here is Give Us Chivers. I wouldn't let him recruit anywhere, never mind Mongolia. He doesn't have an eye for talent or anything else. He's a bullshitter. So there we go. That's his level. He should be in Mongolia.
Fantastic talker.
That's right. A fantastic story. This is a good comment from Will. Considering you guys, that's us, hated our transfer biz last summer, did winning Europa meet or exceed expectations? That's a great question from Will.
Winning Europa League meet? Well, we were favourites. I like that is a competition that we should always. Did it meet or exceed? Like
you sound like your expectations being met there by your
the expectations I suppose have been met, because people always used to say, "What do you want, top 4 or a trophy?" And I've always been, well, you know how I am, Dave. I've always been, well, big teams do both.
Correct.
That far too long. We're trying to change the culture, but do you want top 4 or a trophy? Well, I want both, because the culture should be then that we're a winning club, and that's what winning mentality is. Mm-hmm. But now it's okay to fucking bin the league off to win a cup. Mm-hmm. It's all smoke and mirrors.
But are you met or are you? Well, the question is, this is like question time. Well, it's exceeded my expectations, and the reason why it's exceeded expectations is because we always cock things up, regardless. So the fact that we didn't cock things up, I'm very happy. So it has exceeded my expectation. But that's a great question, and thank you very much.
And just for Mark, who's in here, can I quickly put this one up?
Yeah, go
Let
on.
me tell you now. We play like we did against Man United. That how we played against good teams, we get beat, and that's not me diminishing us winning the trophy, because we did it. We had to beat Man United, and we beat them. But you do that against good teams, who will create more chances, have better players, have better forwards. Will get beat, and there's no way. Look, are you retarded? We didn't have the squad. Fucking hell, mate. This is why I say it's a cult. It's like unbelievable. The COA, mate. I've been saying about it for ages.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hello. Hang on, we're being trolled here, but there we go. Okay, I'm a bit. To be honest with you, I had a few drinks last night. I know it's a Tuesday night. I should know better. But anyway, Anyway, so we got. I had a nice other comment here. Here's Phil. Were they with him? Everton away, Leicester home. They've hung him out to dry. If that's the players behind the manager, that's an even bigger indictment on Ange. That's a good comment. That's
like I said, mate. In these bad performances, they haven't turned up. So something's not right there. Is that I think the players are with him. I think it's just been
because it's been easy. Yeah, they've been allowed to get.
They've been on easy street.
They've been allowed to get away with it, but Kerry, who I think is very much Ange in Gibbo, but he needs some experienced players to move. So what Kerry's saying is, Gibbo, if he gets some experienced players, we will kick on next season. That's what
we can't do it. Really, ultimately, mate, I don't think we will do any worse in the league, will we?
Mm-hmm.
That would be quite difficult.
Okay, and then Waxing Miracle. Now, look, this is a pure example of someone who understandably is in the emotion of the situation. I was Ange in until he cupped his ear and the presser after. That made me Ange out, but now he's back to Ange in again. There you go.
Yeah.
But he's caught up in the emotion. And this is something that, let's talk about my favourite captain, my favourite membership of the leadership group. Apparently, Romero will go if Ange gets sacked. Oh, really? That's coincidental. Who'd have thought?
Then he can get away with that, can't he? By saying, "You sacked the manager I wanted to." I mean, this is what I mean, Dave. It's just.
But that doesn't. But hang on a second. Is that the same Romero that sat on a chair in the middle of the Astro pitch in the training ground, talking in Spanish about the fact that he's going to Atletico Madrid? That one, you mean?
Yeah.
And he had a toe injury apparently on the weekend.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry for sneezing. But so he had a toe injury. You knew that.
So one thing I will just say, Dave, is that, but obviously I've been through all this stuff with Ange, and we've had to relive it today. And I was sort of speaking to my son in that earlier, and I said I can't be really bothered with it anymore. I want him to go, but if they keep him, they keep him, and it's just going to have to be sort of like give him enough rope. Hope it works out. Hope it gets better, but just give him enough rope. This is what I think. I don't want to be like I told you so if it happens, but we'll just go into another season. And as I said to you, mate, I'm not Levy in, but then people will blame Levy. They'll flip-flop back to Ange out if he has a poor start. He's under massive pressure to start well, and then it'll be Levy's fault. It won't be Ange's fault. It'll be Levy's fault because he should have relieved him of his duties in the summer, and we're just back to square one.
I mean, I do think this is a Ten Hag moment because I'm pretty damn sure that at the end of last season, that was Ten Hag's second full season. I'm pretty sure it was. And this was Ange's second full season.
Yeah.
So we've given him 2 full seasons. We don't normally do that, but they normally last about a year and a half. And in comes Ryan Mason, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you have to be, Levy has shown, got rid of people like 10 minutes for a cup final, right? So now he has to go. I'm sorry. That's what it is. I think we're gonna have to finish off here, but I just want to finish off of this. We've been trolled here. Who are these 2 sensible chaps talking sense? Might be someone else here?
Is that your son?
No, it's not my son. My son normally writes something
Is
about
it somebody
No, I don't know. I don't know this person. I do not know this person.
Okay.
It's just someone who's obviously.
Don't come on this show taking the piss and being nasty, eh, Dave?
Don't come on this show and be nice to us.
Yeah,
we're grumpy.
Because we'll take it that you're being sarcastic.
Yeah, we're grumpy and we're not very good at taking compliments. How dare you say that we're sensible? Yeah. The last thing that we are is sensible. I've had to dry off coffee from this laptop all week. So, Gib, I think we can wrap this up now, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, let's wrap it up, mate. You got to go to work. I've got to go and watch a bit of telly.
And he's back again look at this.
He's thoroughly enjoying this.
He's enjoying this. That's not the point whatsoever. Yeah. We're grumpy.
49 people watching live. I mean, Dave, it must be a good one tonight.
Well, it's the Ange effect, mate.
Yeah, we'll get some hammer on Twitter, won't we? We'll get trolled on Twitter. We might get put in at it by people who say like we say nasty things or we're thick.
We don't deserve
thickos. We don't deserve, and we shouldn't support Spurs anymore because we're not proper fans.
Well, I don't know the way to the stadium, but you obviously do because you were there on the weekend.
But usually people who do it, they can't even spell right. Like the messages come up, you should not support Spurs anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's all spelled like with capital letters and all that shit.
I get
getting getting the dog to type it out.
All you know is how to play football with a bunch of kangaroos, something like that.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
please don't say nasty things to me over social media.
No, please don't say that. But don't forget, we don't deserve Sonny. Okay.
Yeah.
We just don't deserve.
Yeah, we're always getting told shit like that, aren't we? Yeah.
So next week we are going to be doing the Grumpies.
If you're sensitive, don't come and watch.
Yeah, if you are if you're sensitive, don't watch. Now, obviously, one of the Grumpies, we were going to do the best moment of the season, which is pretty.
Yeah,
that's pretty easy.
We'll still do it, Dave.
No, we'll still have to do it.
Suspense.
Yeah, it's going to be a real tough one. So we are going to be doing the Grumpies next week, and then after that we will look to do the keep or sell the week after, and then we'll work out what we're going to do over the summer. But thank you very much to everyone for watching and who will be watching the repeat. Please like, subscribe. We are stuck in this wasteland between 8,000 and 9,000 followers on this channel, which we seem to be renting, to be honest. But thank you very much for watching. And from me, come on, you Spurs.
Yeah. Good night from me. And champion is. Come on, you Spurs.